Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
You strike me as a Kentucky Derby type. You
Oh,
would have
yeah,
been,
getting dressed up.
yeah,
Oh,
you'd
I
have
would
the
love-
hat, sipping on a mint julep.
Yeah, they
But-
say like route when it's a noun.
But they
like,
have problems
you're
running
en
routes.
route,
Right.
or you're running a. Well, I
Route.
guess route would be a noun too.
Yeah.
Never mind, I don't know my point.
Now, in the rest of the...
Can we call that the PU FAQ?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's
Did I thread that needle?
that's risque.
Secretly asked. Fred, how do you feel about them putting the altitude on their helmets? You know, it's like 5,000 They got that little thing on their
I would do
helmets now,
that.
you know?
Why not?
It's a weird flex.
I didn't think there were a ton of upsets last week. That's why I figured everybody did reasonably well.
Spread was tough for me.
Yeah, I had some courageous picks that could have been, but Uga Chaga, I can't stop this feeling. The underdog that is playing really well and has the chance for the upset, it's a dog with teeth.
So you know they're favored by 3. I'm just going to repeat that.
What's that?
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Tuesday here at Gillette Stadium, and 3 more to go, folks.
Oh, wow,
3
Fred.
more. We're looking ahead because I don't want to look back to that one. That was very disappointing, to say the least, coming off a bye. It's Evan, it's Paul, it's Deuce, it's me, it's Matt in the booth. We'll be talking Patriots for the next 2 hours. Current state of the team coming off that bye, 3 games to go. We're sitting at, 3-11 right now?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. Disappointing
I care to
loss.
look at it as the 3rd overall pick in the draft.
There you go.
You could look at it that
Yeah.
way, but I'm talking about the here and now, and I think, and I thought that game against the Cardinals was a winnable game, and they just came out and they were, they just
I'm not
made
going
too many mistakes.
I'm not going to be my over-the-top snarky self as I normally am. I would say I didn't necessarily think it was a winnable game, but I didn't envision what happened in the game either. I thought it would be much more competitive than that.
Yeah, so
It's frustrating how because I felt, I don't know how you guys felt inside the stadium, but like the first few offensive plays they ran, like it felt like they had a little something going
They
there.
won the toss. They
Yeah.
took the ball. And you're like, okay, they've got something, and it looked like they knew what they were doing. They were marching down the field and then
Running reasonably well.
Yeah.
A couple of short passes.
And
Yeah.
then
and then
and a holding
Holding.
call, and they were never competitive again.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable. It's like one holding call completely ended the game.
Yep. So
tough.
yeah, tough to say the least. And
I mean, you guys were there. Like, did it look as bad as like it felt on TV? Like, was
Worse.
I never.
Really?
Well, honestly though, I never felt like, we're getting like, dominated. I just felt like, they got to get going. They got to get going here. They got to go. They need a stop. They need a good drive, and they just couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it.
There were so many individual breakdowns that like ended all of those drives.
Yeah.
Like the holding call that we mentioned on the first drive, pushes them back. Ultimately, they missed the field goal. I think the next drive was the Verdarian Lowe drive, right? The second series of the game where he misses a guy on a run blitz and misses a guy in pass protection. There was I think the next drive might have sort of ended when they had the aborted play with one of the rolled back snaps, where May just had to like get it in all he could to keep possession. So all of a sudden now you're into the second quarter, you're down 2 scores, and the game's over.
So did you listen to the broadcast?
I did not. Oh, you meant on TV?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, we
TV.
okay.
I thought you meant the radio.
Yeah,
We
so,
watched it.
So
Yeah,
Ross,
we watched the game.
Ross, I had it in my ear. Ross Tucker was the color guy.
Ugh.
It's very clear to me that in the production meeting, the Patriots were very, very transparent with him. Because that was,
I totally agree with you.
you would think that was almost a home, I'm not talking about because he was favoring the Patriots or positive toward the Patriots, but it was almost like that was the team he was covering all the time. Because I would say that most of his comments were Patriot-centric. Not positive, but just about the Patriots.
Yeah, I
And-
kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
I was going to go in a different direction, but he was like Verdarian Lowe misses a block on the second series of the game, and he immediately went to, the Patriots are going to need to help him. And they obviously are getting the ball out really quickly because they don't trust the pass protection.
I think
that
he
was telling me that came from the production.
I think he said the words. The Patriots have a left tackle problem.
Yes, and it was on the second series of the game, but the first missed block. All of a sudden they got a problem.
He got that from us. No, I don't mean us. I mean
I know what you
the
mean.
Production meeting.
I got the same impression.
Yep. And I thought that was interesting. Don't you? Didn't you think?
I did.
I don't know if you caught.
I didn't catch an interesting point. I was curious from the group, just focusing on that first Vidarian Lowe play, where it just seemed like he either wasn't ready to get off at the snap or his eyes were in the wrong place. And I think the way Gerard described it afterwards was like the guy got a good jump. It felt like Vidarian Lowe got a really late jump and didn't really know where he was going because that guy was by him in like.
Well, now
2
we know why
seconds.
Vidarian Lowe likes to line up in the backfield because he's not.
You're supposed to protect us.
Listen, no, but he's not confident about how he gets up, off the snap. He probably knows himself. I'm slow. I need a little head start.
Yeah, that's fair. Absolutely fair.
So that was disappointing. And, you go down the list, Jalen Polk just cannot, be part of the on-field production. Booty with the pass that he bobbles and ends up being an interception. I thought the ref call was bad. That took away an interception on the part of the Patriots. I think that was a bad call.
I agree.
That's another one of those one plays, though.
I'd like to see you let that one go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he probably did hit him in the head, but I don't think it was.
Yeah.
I don't think it rose to the level. It was not. Did you see the one that the Falcons benefited from last night? Speaking of these roughing the passer calls, that was an awful call on Spillane.
I also had an awful loss in fantasy football.
Oh, good.
In the playoffs, I lost by .02
Wow.
of a point.
Who do you blame? Who on your
Did Barth beat you?
roster?
Come on.
No,
Barth
it's
beat you?
just his family's league,
Okay.
actually.
What player is
Look,
catching
I
your
don't
wrath
like,
right now?
I don't like being that guy, Mike, that blames people for your fantasy football team.
No,
but
but
Younghoe Koo, you are dead to me. He missed a field goal at the end of the game. And very, very end of the game, he missed like a 40-something yard
And that
field
would have
goal.
done it for
Are
you?
you sure?
Yeah.
I missed that.
He missed the field goal, and I was winning by a point. And when he missed the field goal, I lost the point.
Wow.
What
Yep.
a coup. He was here. You had your chance when he was here. You could
That
have
was
maybe
my
been
toughest
nice to
beat
him or
of the week.
something.
I mean,
That's a bad
obviously, I figured we
beat.
were
Stanford
gonna lose
Steve's going
the
to
Cardinals.
focus on that one, I think, next week.
It was
Bad
tough.
beats.
It was tough.
Yeah. And the Patriots defense just continues to get worse and worse, it seems. Middle of the field, linebacker play, especially on coverage, just not there.
Yeah.
Safety play failed us this game.
Some of the
Taking
third
bad
downs
angles
in the
to-
second
yeah.
half seemed non-competitive. It was like 3rd and 6, and they went to great lengths to tell you how bad the Cardinals are on 3rd and long. They're like 32nd in the league on 3rd and long, and they were completing passes like effortlessly.
A lot of just out of the backfield, like the little just flare out.
I mean, the one at the
hit
end
him.
of the first half to Dortch. Then you had like a couple to McBride in the second half.
Well, McBride killed us,
Just
yeah.
easy
Yeah.
pitch and catch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Evan wrote it. I mean, I agree. I think Peppers, he was on that 52-yard run, whatever it was. I mean, he had bad angle, flat-footed. He doesn't look the same as he even looked in the summer.
Duggar missing tackles.
Duggar having some like embarrassing missing of tackles that are
he was
then
on the
get
Dortch play.
put on the Twitter machine where he's flying out of the way. And I mean, me and Evan were talking about it a little bit, and it's just I think when the Patriots defense was good up front and in sync, you see they build the wall. You know that one, Paulie. Build the wall. It's straight across. There's not a lot of space. When the ball goes to one side, the space compresses, and the linebackers are able to read. And I saw someone on Twitter calling out the Patriots just linebackers overall, and I just totally agree. I think you're witnessing what it's like when a team just does not have off-the-ball linebacker play. Guys that, and honestly, like I make fun of myself because when I was a freshman, I was an inside linebacker. I loved it, but I had no idea what I was doing. And I remember the coaches talking to me like specifically saying, you got to read how the guards go. If they come out and they're trying to block you this way, you got to get around them. You got to beat them to the point. And there's just none of those plays from the Patriots linebackers ever. They can't get around. They're not fast enough to get or have the vision to get around those blocks. They're not physical enough to get through them and compress the space.
They're not going downhill.
And
they're not taking good angles.
And how many runs are just, not even like, some of them are straight, but other ones are weaving through and then they're off. A lot of them.
There was a
look that
couple
way.
of plays like in the middle of the game that Mike got a little frustrated in this game. Ev. When the defense isn't playing well, that doesn't sit
His
well.
side of the ball.
Doesn't sit well with Mike. But there was like back-to-back plays. We were watching the replay, and Mike is counting how many yards James Conner got before being contacted.
Yeah.
10, 11? I mean,
like there was one that was like 11 yards before anybody even touched him. And that's getting blown off the ball. That's not playing downhill like Fred said. That's total system breakdown. So it's not missed tackles. It's no one's there to tackle.
No, and I mean, I do think it's interesting in a way because at times you'll see Anthony Jennings will make just stout. The edge is set. He is there.
Yeah, that's his thing. He's
can
good
do
at that.
You'll see plays where Devon Godshaw
Right.
stacks his guy,
Yep.
looks which way, sheds. I mean, that's what it's supposed to look like. But there's just too many pieces around them that make none of those kind
Well,
of
there's
plays.
not enough pieces
there's
around
just,
them. Yep.
there are moments where that's an NFL play, Anthony Jennings. That's an NFL play. That's an NFL play, Devon Godshaw. But after them, it's a quick drop between the other guys that are actually making an impact like that, and certainly, not enough to play on their side of the field, their side of the line of scrimmage. I mean, everything is at least 2-3 yards before they're even close to getting cut down.
And they're coming off a bye.
Right.
You have a little extra time to prepare. You should be a little bit more rested up. No excuses. Just no excuses. You're hoping that these last 4 games, you'd see some positive things, and we didn't see it. Now, of course, Drake May, I think he played fine. A lot of it was at the end when the game was kind of out of hand. I think Gonzalez played well, although Patriots fans are going to get a little upset with me.
I think I might be.
I thought 2 of those plays that he had were borderline pass interference.
So I didn't think either one of them was interference, but I do think it brought me back, and Mike and I talked about this during the game when the plays happened. It brought me back to the argument that we had a couple of weeks ago when Evan was saying he doesn't think you should be rewarded for that. They were both on Harrison.
Right.
All Harrison had to do was stop and go for the ball.
Yeah.
And he would have gotten interference both times, because I don't think there's any way that Gonzalez could have avoided contact if he had done that. But I didn't think either one of them. I thought that was the best game I've ever seen him play.
Okay.
I thought he was really good in that game.
Okay.
I thought he had Harrison so in jail that
That he wasn't going for the ball.
He wasn't locked into his hip.
And then the one time the pass is there, he has the ball in his hands and he allows Gonzalez to take it out.
Yeah, that was a great play.
Yeah, I mean,
but a bad play by Harrison too.
Well, it is, but it just should never give up on the play. If you're
I thought it was literally the best game.
It was the equivalent in
I
lacrosse,
thought he was
and
so
you'll know
good
this.
in that game.
Lacrosse, that would be called a trail check.
Yeah. When
Right.
when I
Can't
write
confirm.
at some point the Gonzalez Pro Bowl All Pro case, like that film is the film you show.
Well, that was another one about the
mean-
transparency. Oh, was Ross Tucker over the top?
Yeah.
Like you should have heard him talking about Gonzalez.
I liked Ross Tucker. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, no, I didn't think there was anything
Yeah,
wrong
I mean,
with the
we don't get to
broadcast.
hear a lot of other
Well,
games.
yeah, I mean,
you
that's
know.
unfortunately this is
yeah.
where we are. We have
Right.
that. I mean, that's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, how many crews do you think they
But
have?
of all the
Six?
color
that's
analysts,
got to be 6.
Of all the color analysts I've heard, he's as good as any of I've heard. I'd put him up there with Greg Olson.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's tough.
Absolutely. Anyway, I don't want to digress.
but I thought the broadcast was fine. Now there's a couple of minor nitpicks, like the Patriots kicked a field goal to make it 10-3, and the guy goes and it brings the Patriots within 4, and I went, that's funny, man.
Yeah.
But that's just a mistake. That's not necessarily an indictment on
Right.
their ability to call the game.
Yep.
I thought, I feel like I want to keep saying this about Gonzalez because I think that I'm accused at times of being a little critical. This is the game that people have been telling me that he has every game. Like, I saw down the field them targeting the guy that he was covering,
Yep.
and he is making sure the guy that he's covering is not catching the ball.
Yeah.
And I know that the stats and all other games are similar to this. I didn't see it like this.
Well, you don't see a
I didn't
lot of
see
his
like-
guys get targeted.
I didn't see
the way-
this in the
yeah.
Rams game.
No.
I saw it in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I saw him. I think Evan put it really well. Like he just had Harrison locked up. Now, Harrison, he's kind of been a little mid for a guy who was supposed to transcend the
Right.
rookie wide receiver core.
Yeah.
I think you can make an argument that he's definitely the third best of the rookie first rounders. You can make an argument that he's fourth best.
Yeah, Brian
So
Thomas Jr. is
so
awesome.
speaking
Thomas and Neighbors are absolutely been better than
Yeah.
him.
speaking of Gonzalez and looking ahead to 2025, so you have one corner. Do you trade if you can? Do you take Travis Hunter as a corner and just solidify that position?
It's a great conversation. We talked a lot about it on the post-game show, and people are turning the page to that. I'll just say off the top, I would definitely not rule out Travis Hunter because he's just so skilled and talented. But when we get through free agency, we'll see what kind of need cornerback is. And, if I think that's what people have to accept. And we got some calls on the post-game show of, there are people out there that think he's going to play both ways and really make an impact in both positions. And I can understand if you believe that you would think, what a great fit for the Patriots. I just think some of us are skeptical that he'll have the kind of impact as a wide receiver
Listen,
that the Patriots
I've
need.
heard the argument just because it hasn't been done in a long time. I'm talking 70 years. Doesn't mean a player can't now do it. But it's unreasonable in the NFL to expect a player to play both ways. I mean, really play both ways. I don't mean as a gadget, like
Right.
Marcus Jones.
Right.
know?
I'm talking 65 plays
Right.
on both sides of the ball.
You can't do it. You
I
can't do it.
I just think the bigger question is, can he play wide receiver at the NFL at a high level? Because it's undoubtedly more valuable for him to be a wide receiver. But
he's a better corner than he is a receiver, don't you think?
Yeah,
I do by a lot.
yeah. I don't know about a lot, but he's, no matter which way you slice it, whether it's from the player perspective or the team perspective, it's more valuable for him to be a great receiver.
Oh, of course it is.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Of course it is.
I would agree with you on that.
I just,
For him, too.
right, for him most importantly.
Yeah.
And given the guy that's advising him, the maximizing his earning potential in the NFL is going to be number one on his list of to-dos from Dion's perspective. So, like, if he plays wide receiver and he's a stud, which I think he has the potential to be, he's going to be making
This different view.
he's going to be making $30 million a year
Yep.
in 4 or 5 years. If he's a really, really good corner,
You could be making
15,
20.
maybe 20.
We're talking 4 to 5 years from now.
Yeah, but like it's all relative.
Yeah.
You
well,
know.
you bump up the wide receiver number too, though.
Right.
That's
so
what they're
now
making
we're at
now.
35.
Yeah.
His receiver tape is excellent. Like much
See,
better than I thought it was
I
gonna
don't
be.
think like
Who's
maybe
he going up against?
I mean, you could say the same about everybody at that level.
right.
Yeah.
I don't see it that way, but I mean I come at this full disclosure. I do not watch every play of these games, but when I watch Colorado, I see a technician like as a cornerback.
Well, that's
He
what
is-
I
he
see
is
those type of
incredible.
instincts.
Incredible
Make up
mirroring skills.
speed,
Absolutely.
mirroring. Like,
mean,
Wide
his
receiver, I
ball
see
hockey is
an athlete
fantastic.
who's better than the guy covering him going up and making plays. I don't think that's something you can rely on in the NFL. I'm just the best athlete on the field every game that I play.
Right, but if he focuses on receiver full time,
Fair.
power of his hands.
Fair point. Good
Excellent.
hands. He's
That's
got
probably his
great
best trait.
great ball skills.
yeah, his
in
ball
general.
skills and his ability to finish through contact is what gives me hope that he could play receiver in the NFL.
We had a lot of people calling in on your side, Evan, on Sunday, pushing back on because I feel like he's a great corner. He's a guy who plays wide receiver, and obviously a lot of listeners agree with you when they think he could be great at both.
Yeah, I mean, he won the Biletnikoff, so he's the best receiver in the country for people that, college football people.
So what's more realistic then, if you're going to play both ways? Full-time receiver, spot corner, or spot receiver, full-time corner.
I would say the Marcus Jones, full-time corner spot receiver, because they can use him third down, gadget, that kind of things on offense. You can't really do that on defense. Like, you're either in the defense or you're not. You
don't put him in on obvious passing plays.
But that's like every play.
Yeah, I guess
Right.
nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're either on defense or you're not, I feel like. But, the biggest things with him at receiver, his ball skills are excellent. Like his ability to track the ball, finish through contact, make plays in traffic. And he's got a really good feel and instinct for zone coverage, like just being able to find soft spots and voids and work with the quarterback and things like that. So you have those two baselines. Like you can teach him how to release, you can teach him how to, technique at the top of the route if he needs to develop in that sense. It's a tough one, and I expect him to want to play receiver more than corner. Really
I
do.
know he wants to try to do both. That's what he's talked about. I saw a thing with Richard Sherman talking to him, and he was just like, just stick with corner. and or stick with one. And his point was, they're going to run you ragged. If you're playing full time both, they're going to line up a receiver and they're going to run 50-yard go routes on you all game.
And how do you practice that?
So
like in practice,
they're
what
going to
do you
wear
do?
you out
Right,
for
yeah.
offense if you're going to try to play both.
Yeah.
Now, Richard Sherman's a guy who played both at a high level in college. Like he started his career at Stanford as a wide receiver. I shouldn't say necessarily as a high level because he became a high level player in the pros. He wasn't necessarily that coming out the way that Hunter is. Hunter's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's the best player in college football, and Sherman wasn't considered that at Stanford. But he's a guy who has some experience playing on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to be interesting. Right now, as it sits, Patriots are drafting where?
Third.
Third.
Yeah.
Okay.
Raiders, Giants. I don't know who's first. Giants,
Raiders,
Giants.
Giants, Patriots.
Okay.
Panthers, Jaguars.
And with 2 games against the Bills and one against the Chargers, it's going to be tough for the Patriots to get that 4th win. I'm still holding out hope. As
Why?
it stands, I said the Patriots' ceiling is 6 this year, and
Still in
by
play.
God, it is. That's their ceiling, right? I was right on.
I'll take the number 1 pick.
Yeah, what a challenge though this week to have to go play that Buffalo team. I mean, they're really humming. So they're wearing their all new
That was a
red
great.
uniforms.
I wish I could have watched that game.
Yeah,
What do they get?
They're wearing all new red uniforms.
Yeah, red on white.
That's disconcerting.
I just
Yeah.
feel like the comparison of watching Buffalo's offense, and obviously they have better players, and that certainly helps. But just watching Joe Brady and Josh Allen and how they've designed that offense around Josh Allen, and the compare and contrast to what the Patriots are running offensively right now, it's disheartening, I guess. It's just from a play design perspective, the Bills have leveraged all of Josh Allen's talents into their offense, and the Lions defense was just in an absolute blender for 4 quarters. Like, just had no idea where the ball was coming out. And I know a big conversation right now is about the design quarterback runs with Drake May or their lack thereof, and the Bills are running veer. They're running.
Give us 3 years. I mean, give it time with Drake May. We'll get there.
Will we?
We'll get there. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical. I mean, like,
Were the Bills there the first year that Josh was there?
But they ran Josh Allen.
They ran him, but he didn't have the command of the game that he has right now.
No.
I mean, come on, that
Not
takes
even
time.
close.
Tom Brady didn't have the command of the game.
but we're not
his first
talking
year.
Not
about
even
him
close.
going through progressions. Like, this is like he's reading an end.
I
and
get
if
it.
the end crashes, he keeps the ball, and if he doesn't, he
Okay.
hands it off.
All right.
Like that type of stuff is stuff that all these quarterbacks are doing from high school on now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's not.
It didn't look that good in Josh Allen's first year.
No, it didn't.
I don't
But
care
think
what he
Drake
was
is,
doing.
I think Drake's ahead of Josh Allen.
You keep changing it. No one's asking it to look as good as it's looking for Josh Allen.
Yeah.
They're Evan's asking to have some design runs for Drake May.
Well,
that's not
here's
the same thing.
All right, but here's a question
Right?
for you, Paul, because on your show yesterday,
On
one of
my
your
show.
shows, Felger led the show off with the statement that the Patriots made an organizational decision they're not going to run Drake May. Is that true?
I don't know.
I haven't heard that.
I don't know if it's true,
It's
and
the
I don't know
only
what he's basing it on.
explanation I can come up with.
But if you're asking me what I think, do I think that's true or not? I'm going to err on the side of saying I think it's true.
Yeah.
I have no idea. No one's told
I don't
me that.
either, but I just think that they're just not calling those plays right now.
It can't be an accident that they haven't called any
Yeah, they-
design runs.
They
for
won't
it.
even sneak him.
Whether it's AVP thinking, we're not going to go there yet, maybe those aren't things he has to work on, and right now we want to do things that he needs to work on.
So,
I don't know.
I'll give you another.
I don't know.
I'll give you another reason why I feel that way, and it's back to your transparency evidently in the production meeting. There was one of the plays that he ran, and he got out of the pocket, ducked out of bounds, and did he slide once?
Yes.
And when he slid, they said they don't want him to slide feet first because of what happened to him earlier in the year. So this is clearly something they're talking about his running, and they don't want him running, and they want him running and protecting himself. That's at the top of the list. So if you're asking me what I think that they have made a decision. We're not going to make any unnecessary hits for Drake May by asking him to be a design runner.
Because Felger said it like it was a fact.
I don't have anything to base that on, so
Yeah.
I don't know if Mike is just overstating something as fact that really isn't. It's really his opinion. But if
it's-
you're asking me what I think he's right.
There's two explanations. It's either they're protecting him and they don't want to run him, like Felger said, or it's that they don't have the schematic chops to design the plays.
Oh.
Right? There's only those two things.
Well, maybe we just haven't installed. We really haven't practiced that yet. We're
not?
working on other stuff.
How could you not practice it yet, though? Like, this is what he is. Like, this is his superpower.
Well-
like, his physical traits are his superpower. And if you don't, like,
Again, it's first year. We're not going anywhere. We're not playoffs. Let's have him develop the things that he's not that good at yet. And then year 2, you pull out the superpowers.
I guess, I just.
I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
no, I
you
hear
know.
what you're saying. I just thought offensively with this game plan, like he threw 30% of his passes behind the line of scrimmage. Like his average air yards per attempt in the first half was negative 0.8.
Is that because of the line?
It could be.
I
but,
think that's why they did it. It just didn't work.
But like, why are they? They're terrified of the line, and he's just not. They're not letting him get a rhythm or get into the game at all. Like he's just throwing screens. He's throwing quick game. Like they give up a sack. Vidarian Lowe gives up a sack. I don't even know what the play was. Like I don't even know what routes these guys are running.
So you're down on AVP today.
I'm down on all of it, but like it's really disheartening to watch. They don't let Drake go out and try to win the game for him. Like you always said that you didn't want them managing him like they managed Mac Jones.
Yes.
That's exactly what they did on Sunday.
You think they're coddling him?
They coddled him. Like they're not letting him run. They're not running him by design. They're not letting him throw the ball down the field. Like he didn't throw a ball over 10 yards until the third quarter.
All right. Well, listen. To me, it's modus operandi so far because I think they should have started him on week 1. The fact that they didn't do that until week 6 or 7, this makes sense to me that they're taking their time with him. But I'm not disagreeing with you in that they should be doing that.
Yeah, I just think the only thing to me at this point, because I agree with you at this, like it's kind of water under the bridge at this point. Like there's 3 games left in the season. But if I'm Gerard Mayo and I'm Elliot Wolf, like I'm going to AVP and I'm at the end of the season and I'm saying, what is our plan for 2.0?
Yeah, and just,
of this offense.
And just remind me, in the AVP offense, is what you want him to do part of that?
Not really, and that's
okay. Well, that's
why,
a problem.
And that's kind of why he got, he left Cleveland. Like, was because that Cleveland wanted to bring a lot more of this kind of stuff with Deshaun Watson because that's what Deshaun Watson is good at. So it just, you have to go to AVP and you have to say, present to me what you're going to install next year for Drake in these elements, right? Like, how are we going to be the Buffalo Bills offensively in terms of scheme and design? And if he has a good presentation, then great. But if it's going to be AVP, like send him to a college team for a week or 2. Like send him to one of these, college, coaches that run this type of stuff all the time. And that's their offense, and that's the base of their offense. And then next year in OTAs and training camp, like this is the type of stuff they need to be doing from day one. It just build on it then. Like if that's what they do, then like fine. It's frustrating right now that this is how they're doing it. Like it's 3rd and 1 at the 4-yard line, and they're under center with 7 offensive linemen on the field, and Drake is not even a factor that he could take off and run with the football. But if we get to next September and they come out and they have all this stuff in the offense, then great.
So let's just say that they are going to do what you're saying. They're going to start instituting a lot of this type of offense for 2025.
Yeah.
If that's the case, what's the biggest need right now on the team?
I mean, I still think it's offensive line.
So it's O-line.
Yeah,
okay.
like the Bills have Deion Dawkins, and like they like to run that long trap play with him as the lead blocker, and like he's a really good player. So he can block in space. He can block on the move. He's athletic. He can get up to the second level. He can do those types of things. Like they have an elite tackle that can do those, types of things that are a little bit more exotic for what.
If you're going to keep Cole Strange, is he better at guard in that system than center? Or is it not?
Yeah, I don't think that necessarily matters. Like to me, I just think that it's a play design thing. Like you look at the Bills and the way that formationally they create space and they create conflict in the defense, and they're constantly moving guys around.
Do you trade Onwenu in that system? Is he too big for that?
No, because you can run power, like you can run downhill. Like Buffalo runs gap, like they don't run zone off of these runs. Like they're pulling people and they're coming at you. So like it doesn't have to be, I think that's like kind of people say that zone read. Like it doesn't have to just be zone read. Like you can run gap read plays too, counter, trap, power.
Well, listen, I'm with you.
like that.
I'm with you. Let's make the most use of this guy's talent that we can. And I think that's hopefully what's going to happen in 2025.
Yeah.
The question is who's going to be the person to incorporate that, you know? Because right now the world seems to be down on AVP a little bit.
It's taking a lot of heat.
Yeah.
I have never.
I still give him credit for getting made to this point. I think he deserves credit for
obviously,
that.
I didn't love. I'm not going to be contrarian, say how great it was on Sunday. I mean, I didn't love the playing on Sunday. I think in general, I'm not exactly like I got in an argument this morning. Someone talking about how aggressive they were late in the game, with the tempo and this and that, and I'm like, why would you watch anything that happened in the fourth quarter of that game?
And have you watched NFL football?
And have any takeaway
That's
from
what
it
happens
in any
in
way?
every game.
Like, do you honestly think if they ran no huddle at the start of every game that Drake May would make it through the game?
Yeah.
Given the protection issues that they have? Or do you think that maybe the Cardinals, with a 20-point lead and 8 minutes left, aren't necessarily going hell-bent for leather? And use that again.
And
after Drake May. Like, they're not going to be blitzing his shoes off.
I heard people say, with the touchdown that May scored running, he just walked in. It's like, see, that's what he can do if you allow him to run in the red zone. It's like,
yes.
They weren't even playing defense.
No one was playing at all. Like, even Evan made a good point about the 10 yards, like none of the passes. This is where I would say I had, some of the problems. I understand sort of conceptually what they were thinking in terms of the Cardinals blitz a lot on defense.
But they don't.
Maybe we can use some of that aggressiveness against them, and you run a bunch of screens. How about after the second one that goes for no gain, you change that a little bit and do something different? The entire first half, what was it? Minus 0.8?
Yeah. Negative.
That's the average air yards of the throw. I'm watching the Bears last night, and there was midway through the second quarter was a similar number for Caleb Williams. It was minus 0.4. And I'm on Twitter, and everybody is destroying Caleb Williams and everything. Well, what do you think he's supposed to? What do you think he's supposed to do? He's running. This is what they're calling.
Right.
DJ Moore. I don't know if you watched any of this game last night, but DJ Moore was a huge focal point. They're running him as a running back. He has running back experience from his college days. Then all of a sudden he starts throwing the ball downfield and they start moving the ball a little bit. At least the Bears, who have an interim coach, changed. In the middle of the game.
Or use that to set that up.
Right.
Yeah.
And they started doing some different things. Now, Williams still missed some open throws and stuff, and he was still erratic, but at least they moved the ball very well last night at times. They just couldn't score because they kept self-destructing. I would take that. That's the Colts game for the Patriots. They moved the ball very well in the Colts game and self-destructed when they got in the red zone. I'll take that. Sunday was not that. Sunday was we can't get out of our own way. And we're not even trying to get the ball downfield to make plays. And it was the most predictable call ever. That the first play of the second half was going to be a bomb. And what happens? He throws it into double coverage.
Yeah.
And Booty is complaining about play calls against man-to-man, and that's the best you can do?
Booty gave up on the route.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
That's just poor to me, as Fred would like to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that type of stuff is, that's the big picture to me is just we were talking about the run defense earlier. There's no rallying to the football. People don't fly to the football in this defense.
What happened to week one?
Week one.
Week
one, that was
and
it.
The Chicago game.
The hats do not go to the ball. It's one guy in space trying to tackle. James Conner is a really good running back, and he misses. It's 50 yards, right? There's no rally to the ball on the defensive side of the football, and offensively, they just don't do anything. They're easy to defend Fred. Like, they're easy to defend.
Mike
Yeah, I
used
just,
Mike
like-
used the Fred line during the
Yeah.
game.
I did. I mean, I think Booty's kind of symptomatic of like what has been going on, because this summer, like, I just thought his hands were so solid, and like as we progress in the season, like that has gotten worse. Like, you know, it's like the things that you could have like come into the season like, oh well, at least Keyshawn Booty, like I think his hands are pretty good. Like now, even those he's having drops. Like he seems off the page. Like it's not getting better. It's like even the things that you thought you could believe in.
I'll tell you
Getting worse.
what bugs me even more about the receivers and Booty in particular. Like, I don't know, and we'll get Evan's point on it, his view on it in a
They
second.
think they're better than they are.
But Drake May says, I got to put that on him. I was trying to, keep him out of harm's way, but I got to put that on him. I got to make a better throw.
It's too low.
Booty's like, ball's behind me.
Yeah.
What are you going to
well,
do?
that's not all he said, but yeah. yeah.
Go back and listen to it.
Yeah,
That's,
I
that
did.
was the premise of what he
Oh, I
said.
know.
And Douglas is the same way. Like Polk, I have the best hands in football. Like this receiving core talks about itself like it's not part of the problem.
Yeah.
No, and then I just lost my mind before we walked over here with Kendrick Bourne posting one of Taylor's tweets of one of the plays, criticizing him, doing a my bad retweet. Like I can't do this rant every week about every week they're up like, no, it's
How
my
about the
bad.
celebration after the bomb he catches down 23-3 with 8 minutes left?
Yeah.
I got
Right?
Yeah. I mean, at least they threw one.
No,
Like,
I'm just
it
saying-
only took them 3.5
Yeah.
quarters.
No, I'm just saying. Well, they took him 3.5 to complete one.
I
But
mean, they didn't really
like
throw
the other
one.
time they threw one, they had a guy as you. What did you say? That Gonzalez did to Marvin Harrison.
He's in jail.
He was in jail.
You're in jail.
Booty was in jail.
Yeah.
And when they were lucky that Buda Baker was so glued to Booty that he couldn't pick the pass off.
Yeah, he was in phase.
Yeah.
Good in face
No,
talk.
I think this receiver room is, like, look, we hammered them for a lack of talent for years now, and that's certainly the case this year. But just everything you've been talking about, like they all are mistake repeaters, finger pointers. Talking to the media afterwards. There's just there
Booty
isn't a
talking
good-
about the man. The
There's
man
not
coverage.
a good
We gotta do
vibe
this.
coming off of any of those guys, and like poor, even Pop Douglas, he's kind of just deer in the headlights now too. He's fumbling. Like you're getting nothing out of that.
Well,
room
there's no
right
doubt
now.
that the Patriots need a WR1.
But I feel like May's the
But-
only one
but
that looks
they-
in the mirror.
Yeah,
right.
right.
But they also need somebody in that room who's a leader.
Yeah, I mean, like, Booty's points were all valid. I don't necessarily think you need to say them publicly,
Right.
but he was right.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cardinals came out in this game, they just played man-to-man coverage, and the Patriots were throwing screens against man-to-man coverage, and Booty's thinking to himself, like, why don't we try to push the ball down the field, guys? Like,
Blown up.
they're coming out and they're pressing us at the line of scrimmage, like, instead of just throwing the ball at the line of scrimmage, like, maybe if we try to take a shot.
So if he's saying that after the game, he's saying it during the game.
Yeah. I would
And
have to
who's
think so.
sure?
What
They're
is
all-
anyone listening? And if they hear it, is it again? Does it go back to the lack of confidence in the O line?
Yeah, it's obviously, probably makes sense that that's why they came out with that game plan. It's just
They don't trust the offensive line.
they don't
I
trust the
think that's
offensive
fair.
line, but like the Cardinals are not like we're not talking about some ferocious pass
It's
rush.
not a
here.
good defense.
It's not a very good pass rush.
And by the way,
It's a non-existent pass
I had
rush.
to laugh because before the game we were like, well, Cole Strange is going to be available, but where's he going to play? Ben Brown's been doing okay, and on cue
Yeah.
he has two
Starts
awful
rolling
snaps
back there.
you know?
I have a question, a general question for the group, and it might be different for the offense and the defensive side of the ball. But do you think that they're overthinking or underthinking?
Underthinking.
The Patriots.
Yes, the coaching staff when they're coming up with offensive plans
hesitation.
or
It's a
defensive
great
plans.
PU
I think
argument.
I think they're overthinking it, and that's stifling them. They're overthinking it. Just
Are they
let
missing the-
loose. Get loose.
Yeah,
I kind of go around. I'm going around and
kinda-
around.
It
with my
depends
head
on how you
on.
look.
think
It
I'm more on
depends on how you
Evan's
look
side.
at it.
I know.
Like either answer is probably
they need,
right.
They need to do. I mean, I will say in defense of that, I had someone say like they need to do different things. They need to do, like, it's really hard to be creative for 60 minutes. Like they have to trick the opponent for 60 minutes to have success because they don't win a lot of.
Right.
Like, we're just going to line up on 3rd and
They're
10.
not
and
winning the
my guy's better
matchups.
than your guy, so we're going to get this. Like,
3rd and
Trey
1.
McBride lined up on 3rd down and said, I'm better than the guy covering me. Just throw it to me. I'm going to get the first down. They don't have a lot of those options. So I will say that, but I think I side more with Evan. I think that there's some other things that they can be doing, and I don't think they're thinking enough about different things that they can do.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean defensively, like they 3rd down, it was just we're going to motion a guy across the formation. If nobody goes with him, it's zone. If somebody does go with him, it's man. And then here's our man beater, here's our zone beater, and it was like taking candy from a kid, right? Like it was just easy. You know, Trey McBride, they had like a sim pressure up front where they put all the guys up on the line of scrimmage. They motion a guy across, nobody moves. So now you know everybody's dropping out. It's zone coverage, right? Everybody's going to drop out. So Trey McBride just runs across the middle of the field against a soft zone coverage, and it's a 3rd and 6, and Kyle Duggar and Jelani Tavai are 8-9 yards off the ball. And he's just wide open underneath the coverage for the conversion. The next play, they motion the guy across. It's man-to-man. Del Pettis versus Trey McBride. Who's going to win that matchup, right? And this was just it was all that. Like it wasn't anything that Arizona was doing that was.
That's
like,
what I'm saying. Like
crazy.
they could just line up and say, my guy's better than the guy that's covering me. I'm just going to do that. The Patriots can't do that a lot. I'm not telling you they can never do it. I mean, certainly Demario Douglas is capable of winning a one-on-one against guys and Bourne won the one-on-one down the sideline on the ball. I'm not telling you it never happens, but I don't think that's how they're going to make their living very often. They have to trick people.
Right. All right. Emails are flowing in. Calls are coming in. So we're going to take a break. So we'll get that done, and then we'll get right into your calls and emails after this. Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
Just like I said yesterday, and then having the opportunity to watch the film, there were definitely a lot of plays out there that needed to be made. I talked about, third down. The unique thing about only having 6, I think we have 6 or 7 third downs, and a couple of those were situational third downs. It was a very unique situation, but we didn't play well on third down on either side of the ball. Offensively in the red area, we did an okay job. Obviously, you want to pick up those short yardage situations, and then defensively, it comes back to fundamentals, which I always talk about. You even look at the big run play. We had 2 players that were pretty much unblocked that probably should have made that play, and they expect to make those plays, and we as a coaching staff expect them to make those plays. But overall, I would say that they came out. The Cardinals came out and they played better than us. They executed better than us, and we have to go back to the drawing board and get better. I know there's a lot of chatter about, the question last night. You said that. I didn't mean anything by that. It was more of a defensive response. And ultimately, and I tried to clarify that with the follow-up question, because ultimately all of those decisions are mine. So I just wanted to get that out there. Fire away.
We'll start with Mike Reese, and I anticipate a lot of questions today. So we'll start with a single question. Get back, raise your hand again if you have a follow-up question, and we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Mike.
Sure. What do you mean by defensive response to that question?
Yeah, it was just more, I didn't mean anything by it. I just was like, you said it, because I didn't want to go down that whole rabbit hole of trying to explain all those things. And like I just said, I tried to clarify that with the follow-up question, saying that all of those critical situations fall on me.
Next question, Mike Giardi, followed by Doug Hyde.
Continuing on that theme, Gerard, you're on the headset, you're on the channel. If you want Drake to run the ball, you have the right and the power to say, hey, Alex, tell him to run the ball?
100% on me.
Doug Hyde, followed by Phil Perry.
Morning, Gerard. Has there
Morning,
been any organizational disagreement about whether to use Drake May on design runs?
No, look, we have quarterback design runs. Just haven't pulled them out yet. So there's no disagreement. We're all on the same page. I think Alex and the offensive staff do a good job putting together the game plan. I go in there, I offer my 2 cents, and we come out of the room as a unit, all on the same page.
Phil Perry, followed by Chris Ryan.
Hey, Gerard, has Drake lobbied for those kinds of carries? He mentioned something last night about how, he was a good quarterback sneaker in college and he was open to it. Has he talked to you guys or suggested in moments that he would like to do that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm not going to get really into those types of conversations. And again, look, Drake's the ultimate team player. He has been an ultimate team player, and whatever's called, he's going to try to go out there and execute it the best that he possibly can. What I will say is, look, Ramondre is one of our best players on the team, one of our best weapons on offense. And what we did there was ultimately my decision, and thought we could pick it up.
Chris Ryan, followed by Yofi Chen.
Hey, Gerard, hope all is well with you.
Morning.
What is the disconnect in your view between the offensive stats and point production, where it feels like, week after week, there's evidence that the team should be scoring more, than it is? Why, in your view, is that not happening? Is that play calling? Is it execution? And how do you fix it?
I think overall it's execution. I would say there have been times where we've gone backwards in the red area where we were in a place to score. And, that's tough to do. As soon as you get in the red zone, to go backwards kind of puts you behind the 8 ball. And, we've been up and down as a whole, offensively, defensively in the red area. And we just got to continue to understand that the field is shrinking. There's another player there as far as the middle of the field safety, and everything is about the details and going out there and executing.
Yofi Chen, followed by Sophie Weller.
Morning, Coach. Yesterday, you mentioned after the game that it sounded like a broken record in terms of your commenting your team's problems on the field. Do you think it's it's because your message was not properly delivered and received by your players, or it was just simply your team is lack of talents? What might be the reason?
As far as the messaging being received, that's more of a question for the players. I think, when we go into a week, we're all on the same page as far as the targets that we have to hit to go out there and win the game. And unfortunately, we just haven't been able to do that.
Sophie Weller, followed by Mike Reese.
Morning, Gerard. I was just curious about Christian Gonzalez. You've had a matchup against some of the top receivers, and yesterday was Marvin Harrison Jr. What did you see from him in that game, and just what is it about his play that allows him to be such like a lockdown defender?
Yeah, he's our best player on defense, and he proved that yesterday. Just a guy that goes out there and competes on a down after down basis, and did a good job for us yesterday.
Back to the top of the batting order. We'll start with Mike Reese, followed by Doug Hyde.
Gerard, prior to the 4th-and-1 run, CBS had a sideline shot of Alex Van Pelt maybe pointing to something, and you're reacting to that. I'm wondering, was that the play clock? And if you could describe maybe what that interaction was, what was going on in that moment? Because it looked like they might have reset it, but it came after 15 seconds possibly.
Yeah, that was like we weren't going to get the playoff, so I called a timeout. Is that the play you're referring to?
I think it was actually I want to say it was the right before the Ramondre run, so there was no timeout. So it's the 4th down play.
I'm not sure. I'm not
okay.
sure. What
I'll circle back. I'll double check that I have it right.
All right.
We'll go to Doug Hyde, followed by Taylor Kyles.
Joe, there was another moment on the broadcast where they showed Robert and Jonathan Kraft, and some of the lip readers out there thought they were talking about the offensive play calling. I'm curious what your thoughts were on that moment, and if they've ever come to you with issues about offensive play calling.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. What I will say is, they've been fully supportive of us as a team, and look, they're huge fans of the team that they own. So whatever they said, that's what they said.
Thanks.
Taylor Kyles, followed by Chris Ryan.
Morning, Coach. Thank you for your time. I know last night you mentioned with the run defense that if you take away the one big run from James Conner and things didn't look so bad. I know you said something similar after the Jaguars game, but it seems like lately teams have still been able to make those body blows, like get enough yardage to stay on schedule. So are you willing to kind of concede that as long as you're maybe taking away some things in the pass game, or do those body blows also still add up? Because it seems like you faced a lot of third and short situations the past few weeks.
Yeah, the body blows have definitely hurt us. I thought Connor, ran the ball very hard yesterday, and obviously, that front they do a good job on their doubles and things like that. But you're exactly right. The body blows they hurt. But in saying that, like the long run by Connor, like, we were there to make the play. We just didn't finish the play, which is a frustrating thing, and it turns into a 50-yard game. So. And again, that's what the NFL is. It's every play is 6 seconds, and you got to have ultimate focus and ultimate execution in 6-second increments, and we just weren't able to do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Chris Ryan, followed by Yofi Chin.
Hey, Gerard, with 3 games left here, could you speak to your evaluating process at this point, and whether it comes to coaches or players, like what you're looking for to see that there is progress going into next season, and whether certain players or coaches are a part of winning moving forward?
Yeah, there are definitely different measurements or metrics that we'll look at the end of the season, and that we look at right now that we want to see next week, because every week is about getting to 1-0, and everything's being evaluated. I'm being evaluated, the coaches, the players, we're all being evaluated, and no one's happy about where we are right now, and some things have to get better.
Thanks.
Yofi Chen, followed by Phil Perry.
Hey, Coach, I want to ask you about the Cole Strange situation. You guys add him to the active roster last week. I understand you have a certain window to do so, but he was inactive yesterday. Does it mean that he's still not completely ready for the game actions? What's the situation there, if you can explain a little bit?
Yeah, he just wasn't ready to go.
2 final questions, Phil Perry and Mike Reese.
Gerard, just getting back to your comments from last night, are you worried at all that those comments, you said you didn't mean anything by them, are you worried at all that they get taken, or your players hear them and take them the wrong way?
I'm not worried about it. I mean, I feel like they're gonna see all of those things, and they know my heart. They know what I'm trying to, the point that I'm trying to get across. And look, I don't mean anything by it. I didn't mean anything by it. And like I said earlier, I tried to clarify that with the second comment. I have ultimate, respect, and also, for the way that those guys go out there and work every single day. And we just got to start winning some games.
And last question, Mike Reese.
So, Gerard, I'm going to clean up my other question on the 4th and 1 run that Ramondre was stopped short on. Did you feel like operationally, like the time was good, like before, the ball was snapped, or were you worried at all in that moment that the play clock might be coming down on you to get that play off, and that ultimately got off before the play clock went down?
Yeah, I wasn't worried about it. And look, ultimately we missed the block and we weren't able to get the first down. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Gerard. Thanks, everyone.
And now, great moments in history.
Paul's, calling out numbers, and I was like, yeah, I just don't see 12 out there yet, like making a joke. And Paul's
and I go, they gave 12.
12? Who's 12? Like, where's
That's how little.
Dude, did you see 12 out there? I'm like,
I said it like 4 times. I literally said it 4 times, and I was like, they didn't give out 12.
And then the look on your face was like, why you playing me like that? I'm like,
playing the role of Fred.
I don't like giving out 87 either, just for the record.
Yeah.
I don't
well,
like
that
87
But is
either.
there ever going to be a time where you're allowed to do that? Like 12, I get.
Yeah.
Is
That's
there-
just the way
well,
I
I'm
feel.
sorry, I'm over it.
I
McCourty. I mean, love Devin.
Yeah, at least
He
give
didn't
him a
even
new
play
shirt.
last year.
It's to me, Devin McCourty is bigger than football. Like I think Devin McCourty is like one of the best people that's ever walked through this building.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
I think that there's
And he's recognized as such.
yeah.
Right.
I think that in other sports that would be recognized even bigger. This is not one
So
of those.
in your
sports.
argument, no one ever should be Devin McCourty. I get that. But his number is different.
That's just the way I feel.
That's another great moment from
All right, back here on Patriots Unfiltered, 855-PATH-500 is the TPX hotline. Podcasts at patriots.com is the email address. The newsletter signups are going swimmingly. If you want to sign up for the PU newsletter, you go to patriots.com/PU newsletter.com. And no, not .com. It's patriots.com/PU newsletter. There's no .com after that. So if you want to sign up for the newsletter, that's what you do. And so far so good with that.
Yeah.
Alex is doing
It's
a
a good
fine
time.
job.
It's fun.
All right. I have to warn everyone.
Uh-oh.
Emails and calls are coming in, but they may not be for the faint of heart. If you're,
So I take it that you do your in-game chat, your
Yeah.
online chat during the game. It was not pretty.
Oh, it wasn't. It got to the point where, every other one was fire Mayo, fire AVP, and I'm not going to post those because, what's the point, But there were millions of them.
Yeah, the mailbag is getting a little bit tougher to navigate.
Yeah.
Right?
People get so worked up about it. I mean, come
Oh,
on.
yeah. Who
Not
cares?
like Deuce.
Well, Deuce,
not like
the
I
day-
sat on the plane for
the
4
day they
hours
don't
and
get
pondered
worked up
life.
about it is when they're in trouble.
That's true. That's true.
So let's go to the TPX hotline. We've had people holding patiently by. We'll start
Good,
with
Matt.
Riley, who was in Phoenix. What's up, Riley?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey.
Hey, it was a tough watch on Sunday. I was at the game, went with a buddy of mine as a little early Christmas gift to myself, and unfortunately left very disappointed. I thought going into the game this was honestly a game that they could have come out and won. I didn't think they had better odds than the Colts. I think that was probably the best chance in the remaining few games to pull out a win. But either way, just a couple of things. First of all, I was pretty upset the first few drives of the game. It gave me flashbacks of the Matt Patricia days, just screen after screen. And they just kept calling them, even though they were just getting blown up. And me and a lot of the other fans were just scratching our heads thinking, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
So anyways, on that note, I'm not in the camp of firing AVP. I think giving him some time, because I think at times throughout the season he had some really good play calls. But in other instances, you have those times where you are just scratching your head and wondering, what the hell are we thinking? What are we doing? And a perfect example of that, in my opinion, was on that 3rd and 1 when they decided to run a dive with Antonio Gibson and not our power back, Ramondre Stevenson. And then they decide to put him in when we go for it on the 4th and 1. Why is our power back not in the game in a 3rd and short situation? Or to your guys' point, why are we not just running a quarterback sneak with Drake?
Yeah, no, it's
exactly. And I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think a lot of people were thinking the same thing, Riley.
Agreed. And on that, I really don't understand what we're doing when it comes to things like that. But that's pretty much it as far as that goes. And,
Okay, thanks for the call, Riley. Appreciate you calling in.
I would just say on the short yardage stuff, and you can call a quarterback sneak, you could do whatever, but whatever you do, if you don't block the defensive
That's
tackle,
true.
it's probably not going to work.
Right.
Unless
right.
you purposely leave him unblocked.
By the way, if the Patriots had a good game, you would have heard it. There were a lot of Patriots fans at that game.
Yeah,
and I feel bad for them,
Yeah.
So a lot of people made the trip out there. A lot of people obviously are Patriots fans that live out there, and they were there. A lot of blue jerseys in the stands, but they didn't have much to cheer for. So I feel bad about that for them. Let's go to Chris with a TIAN. What's up, Christian?
Hey, guys. I'll be quick. I know you got a lot of calls. I think the biggest thing for me this year, the biggest disappointment is that you found May, and that's it. And it jeopardizes so much of the immediate future, like having a young quarterback on a rookie salary, being able to build around him cheaply with good young guys. Now you got to go back into the draft and free agency, and all the positions that you addressed last year, you still have to address. And it's just, and the guys that you signed all regressed, if I'm not mistaken, unless somebody else has told me different. But
I mean, like Hunter Henry.
I mean, you know, there's a couple here and there.
People were asking me a lot that yesterday.
great.
Who are the guys that
Yeah,
who are the guys that should return? Are you done, Christian, or do you want to stay on?
I'm good. Thanks.
All right.
All
thanks, Christian.
right.
You know, people ask who would you keep, and you had the question off air. If the team were to expand and you can only protect 5 guys, who would be? I think I could come up with 5 guys pretty easily.
No, but like, so that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
What are your 5 guys who, like, if you had, and the question is like, there's an expansion team coming into the NFL, so you can only protect 5. So you have 5 guys that you identify as part of your future.
Yep.
Obviously, everybody says May and Gonzalez.
Yep.
So who are your other 3?
I think Barmore, I would protect. I would protect Henry at this point.
I wouldn't. But go ahead.
Okay. I would protect Keon White.
Keon White.
So I had Keon White and Marcus Jones were my other 2 out of the 5, because you have to consider age.
Right.
And if I'm going to protect somebody, I'm going to protect someone that's going to be part of my team for a minimum of 5 years. And that they just don't have a lot of guys that
You're 4.
You know? Huh?
You have 4?
I had 5.
Who was your 5th?
I had
Barmore.
Yeah, but those are my 3 locks were the obvious locks.
Yeah.
May, Gonzalez, Barmore.
Yeah.
But I would say Marcus Jones.
Yep.
And probably Keon White. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, am I missing someone? You
I mean,
guys,
so
you guys are better with the roster and like the ages
the,
and
the,
stuff.
the question I was asked is just who would you bring back? I'd bring back all those guys. I'd
Yeah.
bring back Hooper.
I would try to bring back Hooper, because it certainly doesn't seem like Jaheim Bell has done enough to sort of say like, well, he could be the number 2 tight end next year.
Cooper's on expiring.
No, I know. That's why you have to
Yeah.
bring him back.
Yeah.
Hunter is back.
I might
He's
connect
under contract.
Hooper to AVP, and I think that's a connection. And if AVP were to not return, then I wonder if that
could be
precludes
Yeah.
Hooper from.
But I
returning.
think he's one of the guys. I would say him and Gibson have
Their 2 best signings.
those are 2 guys that probably gave you what you were hoping for.
So if you had a great players at those positions, all those guys would be fine on your team. Like Hooper's fine on my roster. Gibson's fine on my roster. Marcus Jones, he's fine on my roster. It's not like they're not good. We just need playmakers. Like hire,
Yep.
Too much
but
fine.
You need
Too
to have
much fine.
53 guys, and those guys are fine on my
Yeah.
53-guy roster.
Yeah, I agree. I think that to Christian's point about you still have all the same needs. Well, this is what happens when you're constantly drafting based off of need. Like the players that are labeled wide receivers might not be worth the pick that you're picking that player with. And I think the smart teams that have built it right are just drafting the best football players that they can find. I'm not talking about drafting guards and punters and stuff like that,
Right.
but at premium positions, the best players that you can find. The problems that you get into is when you look at your board and you say, well, we need a guard, so you draft Cole Strange in the first round when there's better football players available with that draft pick. And now we're getting into this year with the draft, and people are going to want Ted McMillan, and people are going to want tackles, and it's like, okay, but if they're picking 3rd or 1st or 2nd overall, and Ted McMillan is not the best player in the draft on the board, then you shouldn't be taking that player, because now you're still going to need a wide receiver in a year.
Right.
So like that's all that it is about. It's like you can't draft on need.
We talked a little bit.
And the ironic thing is you need everything this year, so just take the best player.
Well, I think that's the silver lining.
Right.
It's like you can truly identify the best player available.
Right.
And go with him.
When me and Evan did the little preview for YouTube, and I mean, you look at the Bills roster. I mean, all their key guys were drafted and developed for the most part. I mean, and there's certainly some holes that they had to fill. Interior line, they went and got Amari Cooper. I mean, that's a good supplemental piece. But really, the guys who are making this team right now are guys that they drafted, and even guys. I mean, I made the point, which Khalil Shakir didn't set the world on fire out of the gate. James Cook didn't really set the world on, but now they are, as they've developed, because they're getting good coaching. And I mean, I think you see how the machine starts to work. Where, all right, we're going to supplement our needs. We'll add Amari Cooper to try to put us over the top, but it's really Shakir and our tight ends that are, the guys that are making it go down in and down out. And that's, I think, what you really respect about their team building process and why you have confidence that, sorry, Fred, I think the window is probably staying open for a little while.
Yeah, Shakir and James Cook are such great examples of how we're put into situations to succeed. Shakir is a very specific type of player. He's a catch and run slot receiver. If you have to play him on the outside or you have to ask him to go win one-on-one all the time, he's not going to be able to do that. But in this system, he's just running to space all the time, and he's just getting the ball on the move, and then he's making things happen with it, and it's just a really good fit for him schematically.
But I would also add, because we're playing Buffalo, so it's kind of topical, and I wrote a little bit about Josh Allen and the Bills this morning. So you're right. All of those guys right now are draft picks, but it's not necessarily what they did to build the team. They did a little of both. When they had a young Josh Allen, they recognized we need to get the most out of this guy, and they went out and got Steph Diggs, to help him out. He no longer needs Steph Diggs. This is why I and I know this was good. It was a good-natured bickering with me and Fred about the window, but I believed much more in Josh Allen. I didn't think that he needed Stephon Diggs anymore. And I thought that, let's call it what it is. Khalil Shakir is a fifth-round pick. He's not like this, Keon Coleman's a guy that they're sort of identified as maybe a big thing. He's a second-round pick. James Cook, another high draft pick. But those guys they were given time to develop into their roles. With Cook and Shakir, were they both in their third year now?
Yeah.
So you were able to identify, we don't have to go to the mat to keep Stephon Diggs. We don't have to overpay for Gabe Davis, who we really like, but he's kind of inconsistent. We could probably get that with a guy like Mac Hollins in free agency. So I think that they've been pretty smart with some of the moves they made. And like I said at the time in the offseason, this wasn't cap casualties. This was a reset. Yeah. This was, we're going to sort of cycle through some older guys because we have some young guys that we think can play a little bit. And we're going to do it that way. I know everybody thought Tre'Davious White was a cap casualty. They didn't think he was that good anymore.
He's not.
They thought Christian Benford was better than him, a young guy that they drafted and developed. I think he's a seventh-round pick. So Mike's point about the development part is very valid.
Yeah.
But
and
they built they built what the Bills are right now in a lot of ways, like getting guys from other places as well.
And it's part of the reason why coaching's so important in this league.
And how many guys did Paul just list off of guys that, he was a 6th-round pick. He was a 5th-round pick that now is in year 3, and now he's leading the team in receptions.
Yep.
The development that you've seen, whereas, we're looking at guys like Kyle Duggar, who's been here 4 years, and he doesn't seem like he's getting better. He's not emerging to be a leader on this team, and that's, I think that's just, that illustrates to me the difference in these two franchises and how they've
but also
spots.
Not falling in love with all your own players and not being afraid. And I think Bill did this for a long time very well. Not being afraid to let guys go, even if they're still good players. Like Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer were really good players for them for a long time. Now, I think Hyde actually came back on the practice squad. I think he's back there as a veteran presence. But they, that defense is not as good as it's been in the past. Yeah. But they're figuring it out. They didn't look good the last couple of weeks. They've given up 40-plus the last couple of weeks. But they'll figure it out.
But you just look at Ed Oliver, high-round draft pick. Both edges, high-round draft picks. I mean, a lot of the core, and I know I totally agree with your point, which is valid.
They're all draft picks. Matt Milano, in the middle.
That's the core.
That's the core of that team. Is you're 1,000% right, Mike.
You need to draft
and
develop.
shows though, like, you know, a lot of these guys like Allen is making all these guys better.
He lifts it.
Right.
He lifts everybody.
And like he's
like Khalil Shakir, we would be saying, why can't we get anything out of Khalil Shakir? That's what we'd be saying if he was on the Patriots, because he'd be the number one guy, the focus of the other team's secondary, and he ain't that.
He's in jail.
We didn't even get into like the tight ends that are such a huge part.
Yeah,
both
Kincaid.
draft picks.
Yep.
Kincaid and Knox.
Yeah, they just, you know, like James Cook's a good back, but I mean he's got huge holes to run through all the time because of how they stress it with Allen, and it's just, you know, it's just a perfect marriage of like play designer, quarterback,
scheme and talent,
and
baby.
they have enough talent around Allen at the skill position.
They even got another rookie running back that they've, you know, draft pick in Ray Davis, who's given them a little bit of a lift as a second option.
Podcasts at patriots.com is the email address. Justin writes in. Wide open. Love the show, especially the measured approach compared to other media outlets.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
Very few have ever called me measured.
My question is this. If Gerard Mayo got fired, do you think he'd get hired somewhere else as a defensive coordinator? My guess would be no. But what do you all think? If your answer is no as well, then doesn't that tell us all we need to know?
That's a great question.
Yeah. I
don't
told
know.
you these weren't going to be
I don't
for
know
the
the
faint of
answer.
heart. The only positive I hear are the team hasn't quit on him. My question about this is, does he deserve all the credit for that? These are all professionals that have to continue to put out good tape for future jobs. So does he really even deserve a bunch of credit for that? So that's a good question on the first one. He never was a defensive coordinator. Going into the season, we really didn't know how good a coach he was. Yeah.
I've been most disappointed by that side of the ball. Like offensively, I knew it was going to be a slog, and it was probably not going to be as creative as I would like to be able to break down offensive tape. But defensively, like they brought a lot of the guys back. They brought a lot of the coaches back, and you just thought that it was going to be sort of a continuation of what they were doing with Bill. And their fundamentals have regressed. Their tackling has regressed. Like they've just regressed across the board on that side of the ball. Like all the players that they re-signed and brought back have all regressed. You know, and so like how did that happen? I think is one of the biggest questions that I have.
Me too.
I'm gonna put a mini project together this week. I'm gonna dive into this a little bit.
You gonna do any polls involved with that, or
what's the project?
No polls.
No polls.
I'm gonna look at the last 2 years of defense. I'm gonna doing a deep dive on the defense the last 2 years. And I'm going to see just how. Well, I have a hypothesis.
I was going to say, you have a preconceived.
Yeah, you're going into this with a bias. I think.
And if it turns out to be wrong, I will come in here and I say I did X, Y, and Z, and I came out of it and I found out that I'm way off base.
I don't know about the stats, and I'll be interested to see your project. And I don't know, but eye test. You can obviously watch this defense, and you can't. Like in terms of assignments,
it's not as well coached as it's been in the past.
Yeah, like
I don't think there's any argument against that.
Right, like that's all. You know, I don't know. Like were they paper tigers before? Like yes, possibly. But this year, you know, they're just not sound. Like they're not fundamentally sound on that side of the football.
Hard to argue.
And Bill would never have let that happen.
Right. Hard to argue that part. It was a major concern for me in the offseason. I said this to you many times, Freddie. Bill's loss, like. Forget about the head coach of the team. Bill's loss in terms of coordinating, game planning, and adjusting on defense, I don't think anybody really took into consideration.
No, we did.
We
said it.
No,
yeah.
I'm talking about outside of here. We did.
I think people did.
Because as the emailer said, we're a measured. We take a measured approach to these
stuff,
things.
Though, like if it was, I'm talking about like the fundamentals of football.
Well, sure.
And that piece of it, I'm shocked has gone so far downhill because like it's one thing if you get into a chess match with Sean McVay and DeMarcus Covington and Gerard are not up to outwit him at this point. Like, you know, when the Rams are here a couple weeks ago, Bill might have been. They weren't. Okay, whatever. They'll grow. They'll learn. But you know the breakdowns, the busts, the run fits, like the techniques of taking on blocks and the tackling. You know, like all these types of things.
Keeps going.
Keeps like, was Bill really the one that was buttoning all that up? Like, I guess so. I don't know.
What I think that Bill did, and this is the thing that I've been most surprised about, even from my perspective, not necessarily being a huge believer in the defense. What Bill would like if it started off bad, and you'd be like, oh, we didn't have a good game plan this week. The other team is picking us apart. Bill would figure out what the other team was doing, and he would stop it and at least make the other team do something else different to continue the success. Yeah. Now, to Evan's point, I've seen a half dozen games this year where the other team is doing something, and they have success doing it for virtually 60 minutes. Jacksonville running the ball 17 plays in a row. The Cardinals really running the ball. I don't think they ran the ball enough in that game.
Yeah.
I think if they just wanted to run the ball, they could have done what Jacksonville did and just shortened the game and, done exactly. Because James Conner had 16 carries in this game.
Yeah.
Imagine if he had 25.
Yeah.
He's got like 220 yards if he gave him another 10 carries. Like, they didn't stop him all day.
Yeah.
And that never used to happen with Bill. He would say, okay, we're getting gashed. Let's do, this is an obscure reference. Do you remember the Tim Tebow game in Denver, the first time they ever played Tim Tebow?
Sure.
And they're doing the nonsense that he would do with the running around, and they went right down the field twice. And then they never moved the ball again. Because Bill said, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and that's going to stop that. And obviously Tebow had no things to fall back on because he couldn't throw.
Yeah. I just, I don't think Jawan Bentley is Ray Lewis or like this all-time great linebacker, but they always had a sledgehammer at the mic, like whether it was Hightower, Bentley, even like a Landon Roberts. Right?
Landon Roberts is still playing well for the Steelers.
Like they
by the way.
always had somebody that was gonna run through a who's face, as a Landon Roberts would tell us all. So like they don't have Tavai's not that, Taki's not that, Christian Ellis certainly isn't that, and like there's just that softness in the middle of the defense. Like anybody can run on this defense. Like you have like next week against Buffalo, like they could run for 250 yards against the Patriots if they wanted to.
Phil in Vermont says, I need this question answered. Exactly how untalented are some of the players on this team? I watch ball and pretty much know what I'm seeing,
He's a ball knower.
But I'm no Evan Lazar.
Oh.
The team has a lot of holes, but I think most would agree the main issue on the roster is the O-line. Real question, could any of the current starters for the O-line start for any other of the 31 teams in the league? Or are they, in fact, that bad? I'd also ask the same question of the wide receiver group.
Mike Onwenu.
Yeah, Mike Onwenu.
I think Onwenu could start for other teams.
I
not
just,
the Chiefs, but other teams.
I would refer to Mike Reese's little write-up today, where I think he made a good point.
I got to check this out.
There
You guys
are
are all raving about it.
He did less talented teams that play together, play well, play sound fundamentally, and that's one of the things I like about football is that at a very least you can do that. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the best defense in the league, but you can run fits and everybody plays together, all those cliches, and that's just what you don't see. I mean, it's just like we talked about with the defense specifically. It's a couple guys making plays occasionally, but then you can go right down the list and be like, Keon White had these two pressures, but he also had these two blown edges. Christian Barmore did this, but he also did, every single guy is up and down, and it's a comedy of errors. It takes turns each different play. Who's going to mess up this time? And the result is basically offense is doing what they want.
Defensively, that's so true that you can play together as 11 guys and outplay your talent 10 out of 10 times.
Yep. Especially when it comes to stopping the run.
Yeah.
Bill has said that for years.
Yeah. Yep. Offensively, I just don't think they get enough help from the scheme. Like if Paul's point earlier about if the tackle just blows the block, well, you don't have the guys to just make those blocks. You don't have the receivers to just win one-on-one. Like you can't just roll the ball out, and play. Like you have to do things offensively that are creative and that are different because you are talent deficient. And I think that's the part that they lack.
But like and totally, I'm 1,000% with you. The specific, the third and fourth and one, that's really bugged me. And listen, the quarterback sneak, whatever you want, that's fine. If you want to say they should be in shotgun and let Drake May get out on the edges, and I'm all for that. Let Drake May make a play, especially after the third down play gets snuffed. But if you're going to run up the middle like 99% of the other teams in the league do when it's third and this much and fourth and this much, and you just decide, I'm not going to block a guy on both plays. It's not a missed block. No one blocked the defensive tackle on the third down play that stuffed Gibson, and no one blocked the linebacker on a little bit of a stunt on the 4th down play, that like I don't know what to do. Like I don't know who to kill. I don't even know who I'm mad at. It's just so frustrating that it's one thing if you just get overwhelmed physically. And this is what Evan's talking about. Like you need some help from your scheme. If they got overwhelmed physically and Ben Brown is taking on some defensive tackle who's knocking him 3 yards deep in the backfield and the penetration causes the back to stop, totally get that. Nobody blocked the guy.
No, they were supposed to block the guy. They just missed the block. Like the first play on 3rd down, Leighton Robinson's supposed to block the guy.
Yeah.
And he whiffs. He comes out of his stance and he misses him. On the 4th down play, Vidarian Lowe is supposed to block that guy, which allows the puller on Wenu to block the linebacker you're
But you know what I'm saying?
about.
Like it's not I'm not good enough to block this guy. That I understand. Like their guy's better than your guy and he overpowered you. You whiffed.
Yeah.
Like you didn't even touch him.
Yeah.
Especially the 3rd down play. Like a big 300-pound guy on 3rd down. The 4th down play, I'm going to give the Cardinals a little credit. That was kind of. I mean, I'm not Evan when it comes to breaking this stuff down. That seemed a little creative to me. The way they sort of ran the guy inside. They ran a stunt with the idea being that 51 guy was going to be unblocked.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah. I get what you're getting at, Paul. I mean, to me, it's like even without who missed the block, it's just it comes down to the end of the season. You need a yard in a game where you're trying to show, that you're a team that's starting to come together, that has a little bit of a spark here, and they couldn't get a yard on 2 different chances, regardless of who was at fault. Like, that's where this team's at.
Yeah, I mean, Scarnecchia used to tell me all the time that if you can't pick up a yard in that situation, you stink.
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
Right?
That's it. That's the bottom line.
3 and 11.
You know, he was as blunt as
6 and 11 still in play though.
And that's the mindset you have to have. And getting back to Bill and the fundamentals. His coaching staff knew how he wanted it coached. Like he didn't have to explain to Dante Scarnecchia or name the position coach. Because they came in, the first thing Bill made sure is this is how I want this position coached, because he was that hands-on with all of the positions. And then you get into that groove where you don't have to say it anymore because they know what Bill expects. And then what happened is, as you got more of the brain drain over the years, Bill started losing those guys, and it was tougher for him. But Bill loved coaching. In practice, you saw it. I would always look at, who's he spending time with today in training camp? And he was teaching. He wasn't just overseeing. He was telling these position coaches, here's what we're doing this week. Here's what I need you to do with your players. And obviously, Gerard's not there yet. Very few coaches are, even after many years. But Gerard's not there yet in his first year, and we're seeing that. Let's go back to the TPX hotline. Patty's in Agawam. He's been holding on for a long time. What's up, Patty?
Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, got a question, but I got a little bit of breaking Patriots news, too. The Saturday 28th game against the Chargers is going to be at 1 o'clock. I just saw that on NFL.com.
On what day?
Saturday.
Saturday the 28th.
On Saturday.
Saturday, yeah. 28th.
That was announced.
I know.
So I just want to give you guys in this show props, because, Paul, you're right. Like, I can't remember if it was you or Fred who first said it, but both of you guys were a little bit worried about the drop-off on the defense without Bill. And I was one of those people that was on the other side of that. I thought the infrastructure was in place with coaching. I thought we had the players that the drop-off wasn't going to be as drastic as it's been. And
well, the context of those statements, I remember it clearly, Patty. It was in the off season, and we were thinking about, the forecast for 2024, and everyone was saying, well, if the defense is as good as it was last year,
Judon back,
right? And I remember us saying, listen, don't expect it to be as good because you can't factor in the loss of Bill Belichick. Or in other words, I should say it better, you have to factor in the loss of Bill Belichick in that defense, and so you can't expect the defense to be as good as it was, barring any other changes, as it was the year before. I'm still not saying it wasn't time for Bill to go. It was, but that's just a fact.
I thought
that's just a fact.
I thought that there was a chance that they'd be schematically different, like they'd bring a different flavor of how they wanted to play a little bit. I just different coaches have different strokes, you know.
But
like
it's pretty much the same on defense. It's
Yeah.
DeMarcus Covington, he was there last night.
Yeah, but they're not like the ones that are actually they weren't running the defense, right?
Right.
So like I was hoping that DeMarcus Covington was gonna have some different twists and some different wrinkles like any coach would, and it does feel like they just tried to run Bill's defense without Bill, and they didn't have the magic touch that Bill has with this system. You know, I was just hoping that they'd be maybe front wise a little bit more aggressive, you know, a little bit more, one gap, a little bit more up the field, like, and, you know, not necessarily.
Well, and to be fair, again, you know, you lose Barmore, you lose Bentley behind him, you know, you lose.
Even more reason to
Right.
get up the field. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like if you don't have Bentley to like stand in the bubble and take on a guard, like when you're asking Christian Ellis at 230 pounds to do that instead, like this is what you get. So like I was hoping that they'd be tweaks. Like I didn't expect wholesale changes to what they were doing schematically, but they haven't really.
I just think our point in the offseason was it's not a given that the defense is going to be the same.
No.
I think there's some stuff to decipher there too with the safeties.
Thanks,
when,
Patty.
like, Peppers was out, Duggar was hurt for a while, and they continued to try to, you know, and I think a lot of what schematically they do is spinning the dial with their safeties, playing them at linebacker, moving them back. Oh, this down, he's here, then he's over here, you know. And with Bill, and I don't know the purpose behind it, but it felt like there was purpose why we're putting this guy here. And I wonder if these guys are just kind of doing it to do it, spinning it to try to be cute, to try to maybe confuse the up, but it's not working. It's not working.
Sam's in West Sussex. What's up, Sam? Sam.
Sam.
Sam. It's an international call, so
You never know.
Yeah.
Fees.
Go to Todd in North Carolina. What's up, Todd?
Well, I think I'm going to get my answer when Mr. Perillo has done his work. I was going to ask if the schedule might have been different last year for what they played this year for the defense.
Yeah,
And
that's my
I think last
hypothesis,
year
Todd.
Well, I think that didn't we play a lot of backup quarterbacks and
Yep.
like third string offensive linemen and stuff?
Yeah, I'm not even going to get that deep into the weeds in terms of the linemen, but like I just feel like if you look at like they played one backup quarterback this year, and that was Tyler Huntley, and that's probably the defense dominated that game, and they still lost because they can't score, but that's a similar, they get 15 to, a Tua-less Miami team. Like they would give up 10 to, the Giants without Daniel Jones, or whoever they played. When they played the backups last year, they basically snuffed them out. They couldn't win anyway, because much like this year, they just can't score enough points. Now, maybe the numbers will not back that up. I'm going to look at it a little bit in the next couple of days.
I'm very curious to see what you get, because I don't think that just of course losing Bill is big, as Mr. Kirsch said, but seriously, that's a huge. The drop off is just too precipitous for just to be Bill. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
but yeah,
we'll see.
Like I said, that's what I would like to hear. And Evan, how can they fix this defense? Do they need to come up with a new scheme, like a new approach, like you were just talking about? Or can they revamp it and try to run Bills? Or does Bill's defense just not work without him? And I'd be curious to hear what you're going to say. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Bye now.
Todd.
Yeah, it's a fair question. I think it's a question that touches a lot of different things too, because you have to talk about like personnel and who you're acquiring in free agency in the draft, and is it a certain type of player anymore, right? Like, do you need the Anthony Jennings player archetype anymore, or do you need a Jawan Bentley type of player anymore? Like those guys, Duggar and Peppers, as like hybrids, like they're very specific to this defense and how Bill would do things. And if that's not how you're going to play,
good point.
then you have to pivot out of those types of archetypes in terms of the player types as well. So it's just like, this is the type of stuff that when we talk about this coaching staff and this regime, like Bill would have this conversation and be playing 3D chess, right? Like he would be on a plane that like maybe only he could get to. Like, are these the conversations that are happening now? Like, are they?
They are, but they're in North Carolina.
But like, are they seriously
Holy Cross.
considering these types of things? At a next level type of thinking.
Right.
Of this is to Deuce's point about the disguising. Like, this is why we're doing it. Like, are we doing it just to do it, or are we doing it because it's actually giving us an advantage? Like, Bill always did everything to give him an advantage. And I just worry that we're not thinking, you're not going to be Bill. Like, you're not going to be thinking on that plane, but, like, can we at least be playing chess?
Yeah.
Like, right now, I don't even know if we're playing checkers.
Well, and, Bill learned from good coaches, too. And, your guy, Bill Parcells.
My guy.
One of the things that he would always say, and particularly about defensive players, is, you got to know who you are. And, Bill Belichick was the same way about how he used players. He didn't try to ask players to do things that were beyond their skill set. And at the same time, a lot of players didn't like it because they thought they were better than what they were being asked to do. But Bill had the credibility to keep them at bay. So it's a fine line, but there's no one better at it than Belichick, and you couldn't expect there not to be a drop-off. Alexander in Brazil writes in.
Ducey's got a point.
Oh, go ahead. I thought you were just,
I
cheering on what I was saying.
No, just two thoughts. Two thoughts. I mean, what does the defensive coaching staff look like next year? And do the Belichick guys stick around? Because I think those guys are a key piece. If you're trying to do this system, like, it's nice to know that Brian Belichick and Mike Pellegrino, who understand what they do in the secondary and especially with the safeties, they understand it. They can teach it and not just put it all on Covington. I'd also just say, is this going to be, we need to play faster. We're going to simplify the scheme. It's going to be kind of what they tried to tell us on offense a couple years ago, where we're trying to be too cute. We're trying to be too deceptive. Like, let's just go to a defense that knows what they're doing. They're going to play fast. We're going to play, like, 2 different personnel groups, and we're going to stop trying to, like, look, Kyle Duggar's over here. Oh, now he's back there. Like, aren't you confused? Like, no one is confused anymore. Like, however, whatever they're doing, it's not posing any kind of a problem for any of these teams.
Alexander in Brazil says, I don't get the defense is playing badly because of the coaches. I'm sure the coaching has something to do with it, but I would assume these guys played since they were 10. For decades, they've been taught how to tackle, the best angles, when to go high, when to go low. All of a sudden, boom, they don't have any idea on how to bring a running back down. For me, it has way more to do with talent and the roster than the coaches. Gonza was a good example. He's being trained by the same group of coaches as everyone else, and all he does is improve and play well. The same with AVP. Oh, the calls on 3rd and 4th downs were awful. Why not give it to May? I mean, it's not AVP's fault if the line whiffs all around the field. They needed less than a yard. They ran straight down the middle 2 consecutive times. Any NFL team should be able to get it, and I think they got it on 3rd down, by the way. A QB sneak could have worked, but they would not if they didn't block. It wouldn't have worked if they blocked the same way. It is simplistic to think this would be so much better when in fact, the offense was bad the last 3 years and committed lots of dumb penalties. The defense was average at best, as pressuring quarterbacks and finishing games, especially against good teams, was also a problem. This is a bad roster that was 4-13 last year and that probably will be 3-14 this year. Wolf is the man of the hour, as the team needs lots of pieces and not just bodies. They need standout talent and players. It's not a bad point.
No, I mean, I think we all are aware that the talent on the roster is
it's the biggest problem.
Yeah, but I also just think that more can be done to help.
And we've seen some of these guys play better than this. We know they're capable of more.
No one said this is all, the defense is not playing well all because of coaching. We just felt like they were going to miss Belichick as a coach.
Yeah.
And the same players are the ones that played last year and played better than this.
Yep.
Yeah, and the whole thing about, like, running May in these situations, like, Paul is talking about how guys just whiffed on blocks, but, like, if you are purposely leaving a guy unblocked for him to read that player, and that player becomes the responsibility of the quarterback.
Right.
Well,
that's all different.
Now the left guard and the left tackle are doubling.
Vidarian, we don't want you to block someone on this one.
Or at least he's doubling. Got it. Or at least he's doubling the guy with Layden Robinson, so you have 2 bodies in the way instead of just one. Like, these are the things that, in order to, like, get numbers advantages and to put defenses in stressful positions, like, this is what the good teams do to make those things happen. This is what the Bills do to make those things happen, and they don't do that kind of stuff. So yeah, when you line up across from the team and you just run the ball traditionally and somebody misses a block, you're not going to get the first down.
Yeah, and that's the only point that I was making. Absolutely, you have plays like that backside end on some, you want him to get sucked in so you can catch them and things like that. There are times you absolutely leave guys unblocked, and in passing situations, who was better than Brady at that? I know that Ed Reed's coming off the. I'm just going to wait for him to come and jump, and I'm going to throw it over his head because the quarterback's responsible for that guy.
Yep. Nick in Connecticut writes in, Fred always says he loves caller on caller crime, so I figured I'd chime in with my most hated caller. You've had a few emails saying they hate Chris with a T-I-N. However, they are hating the wrong Christian. Christian from L.A. is by far the worst caller.
Oh.
He's a window-licking buffoon. He calls in and pretends to articulate an obvious point from the previous week's game in a creative way. Then he ends every call with a question or hypothetical like, would you guys trade a 7th rounder for T. Higgins if he signs for $1 million a year? I'll hang up and listen. Paul is my favorite because he doesn't give the majority of his questions any time whatsoever. So there you go.
I never realized that from Christian.
Little
in L.A.
Caller on caller crime.
Window, is that a thing? A window licker?
Window licking buffoon.
Is that a
no
thing?
idea what that
No,
means.
I've never heard.
It's not
that
like
before.
mouth breather or those kinds of
It's
things.
along the same, Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I used
Seemed
to
pretty derogatory.
when you were little and you were on the bus going to school. It was cold out. Did you used to breathe on the window and draw on it?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah, I actually never took the bus to school.
Oh, you were.
wow.
I was a walker.
Hoity-toity. You
No,
didn't
I was a
get
walker.
driven. You didn't have a driver.
No.
No.
I'm with the majority of the audience thinking that you were about to say you licked the windows.
Yeah, I didn't lick the windows, but you would breathe on them and then draw on them.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go back to the TPX hotline. Kevin is in South Carolina. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, boys. Greetings from a lovely 70-degree day on coastal South Carolina.
Oh, good for you.
Windows like it's going out of style.
Great.
Oh, it is like 60 here.
Yeah. Did you just call to give us a weather report, or you got a question?
Boys, I grew up in Boston where it gets colder than 60. I just wanted to share that I love Wade Boggs. He had a great swing. But after he ate too much chicken, I fell out of love with him. I think Jabril Peppers is toxic to the Patriots brand. My question is, why is he on the roster? Is it money or power? And who is responsible?
Okay. He thinks he's toxic. Why is he on the roster? Okay.
I don't know.
And
I'll leave
obviously
that-
he's
I'll leave
talking
that one
about the
open to you.
off-field incident right now.
Yeah.
We don't have any.
I don't have the
Yeah.
information
Yeah.
to say whether or not he should be on the roster, but I think it's a fair question to ask.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of in legal limbo right now, and it's a hard spot. And
But other than that, like take away that, is he a bad, up to that point, he was looked at as an asset. You were in love with him.
Yeah, I know, and I still don't think.
no.
I mean, look, I can't speak after the incident and all that. Like, I'm a little bit off the Peppers train of it all, but I would say, generally speaking, going back to the summer, that's one of my favorite things about him was just the energy and the passion on the football field that he brought. Look at his mic'd up against the Eagles. I think that's something that's lacking on this team right now, and it doesn't even seem like he's really bringing it anymore. So, I mean, I guess in that way, I agree with some of the sentiment that they're lacking that still. But I remember in 2009, that way that season ended, getting run off the field out there by the Ravens, and then they drafted Gronk, and we've talked a lot about just that whole thing he did on the stage, and that's I feel like what this team's going to need this offseason is just a little bit of an influx of life and personality, and guys who really want to play, and and who are obviously the talent part of it goes without saying, but that's it. Just and of course we're getting to the end of a season here where they've won 3 games, and so you understand that they're not bringing that kind of passion every week anyway. But I still just think that they need a dose of leadership and energy, and especially on the defensive side of the ball, guys who are going to hold the rest of the team accountable to a level where it doesn't look exactly the same every single week, where you just get run over and it's missed tackles and we're a step late in coverage and everybody's watching Christian Gonzalez do a great job, but otherwise it's a disaster. They need to turn that around somehow, whether it's with the defensive coordinator, whether it's trying to find someone like a Willie Mack who, is going to come in and embody the personality of the defense and really just give them an identity. But right now, their only identity is they're one of the worst defenses in the league, and that's pretty much it.
You can tell how much it's hurting him.
It
how
is.
bad they are on
Because that was a double whammy.
Yeah.
He had to be critical of the defense and wondering where Peppers is. That's a tough one for me.
I feel like Barmore and Peppers, and I'm not blaming Barmore at all, obviously, with the medical condition, but those guys are out there right now, but the old Christian Barmore and Jabril Peppers is not playing.
So you didn't see much from Barmore on Sunday, I assume? So I had made the comment after the game. I was talking to Matt a little bit, and I was like, at least in the other games, I noticed a play or two. I was like, oh, there's Barmore's, pushed the pocket. He bit. I did not notice Barmore once in this game, and I think he played the most snaps that he's played so far. And then someone said, Matt told me that he saw a tweet. He couldn't remember who tweeted it, that it was the old Barmore finally reappeared on Sunday. And I was like really blown away. I was like, there's times that, listen, the line play, I miss it. I'm not going to lie. But I did not notice 90 once
have
in
you
that
graded
game.
him out yet?
So
Not officially. Not
so
officially.
he
Stay tuned.
in his defense, because we have to be fair.
Totally has the defense. He has,
Oh, the
he
blood clots
missed,
thing aside, they also tried to do the old Star Wars trash compactor with Kyler in this game, so they weren't actually like pinning their ears back to rush the quarterback. They were trying to contain the quarterback for the most part with the pass rush. I actually thought they did a decent job. Probably one of the only things they did well in this game was like Kyler's legs didn't really kill them too much, but he had 16 one-on-ones, 0 quarterback pressures.
Wow.
Didn't register on the stat sheet.
So now it might be just me kind of projecting, but it does look to me like his legs are thinner than at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, he just doesn't
He doesn't-
have
yeah,
that
the power.
Overwhelming power.
That get off and that power, like
Yeah.
it's just not there right now.
Yep.
For him, and so he's just not.
Like,
He's not the same guy.
Even you look at his pants; they're a little bit. They don't
Loose?
fit. Yeah, they don't. I'm, and it just could be me, but it seems that way. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I just
he's
didn't-
going to need an off season to get back.
And the games that he's played, I've noticed him, individual play here or there. I didn't really remember any individual play in this game.
Yeah,
Well,
I
'cause he
agree.
didn't make it.
And I watched him a
Well, that
couple
makes
times.
sense.
No, like,
yeah.
and I say that with all due respect. Like,
Eldred's in North Carolina. We're big in the Carolinas today. What's up, Eldred?
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing?
All right.
I'm a little upset, but like everybody else. And I think it's the line, why they won't run May that much, and it's those wide receivers. And, I'm just, like everybody else, I'm just shocked. I ain't got nothing to say. I'm getting tired of getting finger pointed, but I guess that's what you get for winning for 25 years.
Yeah.
But question is, Travis Hunter is a better wide receiver. I would try him there. He's a good corner too, but that'd be my pick. I like T-Mac too, but I like that speed that Hunter brings.
So you're our resident wide receiver whisperer. So you really think Travis Hunter can be an elite wide receiver in the NFL?
Yeah, I think he can.
Well,
I think he can.
Eldred has spoken.
I like
Yep.
I like Millen size, but he don't have that speed. But he's a good receiver too. But I really take Hunter because I like that speed. I'm like like Evans. I want some speed out there.
What does he run, Travis Hunter, in a 40?
I don't know, hasn't run yet, but
3.7.
3.7?
That fast.
It's pretty quick.
They got me at a 4.3 or 4.4. 4.3 and 4.4.
He's definitely
he's
going to
an
run
elite
well.
athlete.
He's definitely going to run well.
According to the Wichita.
No doubt.
All right.
4.2.
Wow.
4.2.
4.2. Let's get him.
Yeah, we'll see what he does at the combine.
Al
But
Davis.
He's an elite
Thanks, Eldred.
athlete.
I would
no
be
question.
absolutely shocked if he runs at the combine. I don't think he's going to. I think he's pulling a Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think he's doing anything.
Not even the pro day, huh?
I don't blame him. Like, why? Just won the Heisman Trophy. Like,
so,
what else?
So how much is this going to be though? The Deion Sanders circus with these two guys all spring. Like, is Deion going to hover
I think
over this
Travis
whole
a little
process?
bit,
I mean, that's the
I
thing
think him
that-
a little bit less than
Yeah.
Shador. Obviously, Shador's his son.
Yeah.
So I'm not like as worried about it with Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
But that's why I think he's going to play receiver.
You think it was a bit troubling that Shador Sanders was on the stage with him at the Heisman? I mean, like, what are we doing?
I don't know. That's, yeah. We'll see.
I mean, it's enough that there's a lot of question marks about Cam Ward and Sanders as quarterbacks. But now you're going to take a question mark who's not necessarily considered to be the number one overall pick worthy player in most years, and the potential that he comes with him, that Deion comes with him.
Oh, I think
and everything around Deion. I don't mean physically with him. You know what I mean?
Not that I think Shador is that a great quarterback, but I think if he drops, it's partly because of Deion Sanders. Like I don't want to deal with
See,
that.
but I think if he's
not that good.
But if he
Yeah.
had
Right.
the elite talent,
right,
it wouldn't have anything to do with it. But now you
Right.
have questionable talent, and I don't mean questionable talent like he's not any
Right,
good.
but he's not-
I mean questionable
yeah.
NFL talent. He's a
First
terrific,
overall.
another terrific athlete. But he's like another finger pointer. Throws his line under he spent the whole first year in Colorado making fun of the offensive line every game.
Oh, it was bad.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
they
You don't
have
hear
a-
Drake May saying that.
I know, but they didn't have a Power 4 offensive line. Like they had a Jackson State offensive line playing in a. But I think
They should have. They had 80 some odd guys come in the portal. They should have had 5
Maybe
of them
should
that
have
could
brought
play
them all with you
offensive
and started
line.
them.
I think Shador's a little bit better than you guys are giving.
I
him
think
credit
he's
for.
good. I think there's
Yeah.
questions about him. That's all.
Yeah, I don't. He wouldn't be necessarily in like the Caleb, Jaden Daniels, Drake May tier, but
Would he be better than Penix?
I think he's right there with Penix and Bo Nix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of the portal, the Holy Cross to North Carolina portal pipeline has started.
You got to tap the talent, right?
Yeah.
You know, think
championship.
Amanda Belichick gave him some inside info
Yeah.
about this really good guard, but
good to see.
Now we got a shout out. Holy Cross kid Jalen Coker had a big touchdown last week for Indy. He's coming. Or sorry, Carolina. My bad.
Okay.
So yeah, again some success down there. Cedars.
Another call from Carolina. Kendall is in North Carolina. What's up, Kendall?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Dude, good.
My question is for it can be for all of y'all. Would y'all would you be okay taking Travis Hunter at 3 if we don't make another wide receiver addition in all season like a T Higgins, or would you only want him if you already have that X and T Higgins or whatnot? And how would you use Travis Hunter if we don't make another addition at wide receiver?
Gotcha. All right.
Good question.
Thanks, Kendall.
Yeah.
See, I'm assuming they're going to do both, but anyway.
Yeah,
go
I think
ahead.
that's the toughest part
Yeah.
about the Travis Hunter discussion is just how do you use him and where does he play? And it just even if you pick a side of the ball with him, at wide receiver, I don't think he's like a prototypical X. I think he's better used off the line of scrimmage and moving him inside and outside. So you would probably have to have like a true X if you want to call it that to pair with him. But I'm not too worried about that. Like, I feel like he is going to have that potential to be that like number 1 wide receiver, and whoever that X is like doesn't need to be the guy. Like
Just have some guy with some size on the outside that can run down the field.
Yeah,
and
like Hunter's going to be the guy.
comebacks.
So you're going to have to.
Brandon LaFell, if you will.
There you go.
Yeah.
What was it? Jojo LaFell. That's what we.
Yep. I'd still sign T Higgins.
Yeah.
Let's see. Brandon in Hickory, North Carolina. Wow, I can't believe all the people in the Carolinas that are now. Is it all because of Drake May, do you think?
Probably.
All the Drake May haters are
thought it was
chiming
Paul's
back
hat.
in.
AVP has to go, in my opinion. I know it's not good to start over with Drake, but our receivers are not capable of getting open on their own, so you have to rely on being able to scheme your guys open, which AVP can't do. I know our receiving core isn't good, but just watching the other teams, they seem still to be able to get guys open sometimes. Also, I feel like AVP's offense is not using Drake's to his ability. I get trying to teach the young quarterback how to play from the pocket and go through his reads, but when you have a playmaker like May, you have to let him play football. Look at Josh Allen. If you ask Josh to just drop back and throw the ball, then I don't think Buffalo would be as good as they're playing right now. And Buffalo doesn't have a top 10 receiving core. I just feel like AVP's offense doesn't get the most out of our QB, and long term it will hinder us. Well, we had that discussion earlier in the show.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point of conversation for the people that called in and would use switching offensive coordinators as a factor in breaking quarterbacks, and just how you feel about that now. If you're advocating for that, are you not worried about that anymore?
It's a tough decision.
That's why
I think that is valid.
Yeah, that's why I would be open to. I said earlier in the show, like if I was Gerard Mayo, I'd be asking AVP to like after the season's over, like present me with like the Drake May package. Like how are we going to incorporate this mobility into the offense next year, and like see if he can just do it like himself. Maybe he goes to a coaching buddy or something and learns from them how to how they do it at the college level or something like that before I'm just like canning him and then really blowing out the entire offensive staff at that point.
Yeah. What if they just said, we're just going to drop your pant size by 1 and then just see it get the pants a little tighter? Maybe that
if you're not going to
pushes
take
some
this
blood
seriously,
to the
Mike, I don't
creative
even know
part.
what
Here
they're
I
doing.
come with let's send him on a retreat with Lincoln Riley, and he's like, what if we just make his pants tighter?
It's going to push the blood to the brain, more creativity, and the
Well,
play
yeah,
calls.
then you
I
can
just
get-
I love the way that email started though, and I'm not picking on the emailer because I don't think that really anything he said was wrong, but like. It's time. AVP's got to go.
And then everybody stinks.
I know we don't have any good wide receivers, but
Right.
like,
Yeah, right.
there's not a lot of examples of teams around the league that have no talent that are able to just scheme it up and be great.
And that's the chicken egg quandary that we have right now: coaching versus talent.
But I just worry about like the offensive tree as a whole. Like Cleveland, Dallas, the Patriots, they're all running this McCarthy offense, and they all stink. So like whether it's Drake May and the Patriots talent, or it's the Cowboys talent, and they have CeeDee Lamb, like they have.
Yeah,
some,
the Dallas offense didn't stink last year.
That's true. But it just in general, this scheme too outdated. For
I
what
think
they're
that's a
doing
legit
now.
concern, but I also think that the point that Mike brought up about that conundrum of is that the worst thing you can do to a young quarterback is constantly ask him to change coordinators.
Yep.
And I would argue that I would rather change coordinators than stick with a bad one for continuity's sake. And I'm not saying Alex Van Pelt is bad. I'm saying in a vacuum.
Philosophically,
Yeah.
I
If-
just
if-
worry
if
about
it-
about Drake in his confidence, and like at some point he's gonna have to see some shots go through, right? And like if you're, because I'm with you that like continuity is important and all that kind of stuff, but like so is actually like having some success.
Yeah.
And not just having it in like flashes where like, oh, he made a great throw to Kendrick Bourne at the end of the game the other day. Like
That's not success.
Right, they have to go out there and like win a game where they
Well,
score 30 points or something.
I
like
mean,
that.
we've talked about it before. We are just at a disadvantage because we don't really have all the facts. We know what we see, but what are the root causes of these problems? Is it the coaching? Is it the talent? Which is worse? And that's the one you have to address first. And we can't really answer that because we don't have all the facts. Destiny from Maryland writes in, have you guys seen the Bills' new uniform that they're wearing on Sunday? I found it hilarious. They're wearing red jerseys.
It's like all red.
That's
Yeah.
what Mike
Coworker
said.
says the Patriots are not relevant enough for teams to want to troll, but I guess he doesn't understand division rivalry. Hatred even when you're down. Do you think that's why they're doing it? To troll us? No, I don't think so.
They have
Does
red in
seem
their
late in the
uniforms.
season.
Yeah, they do.
too.
They have red in their uniforms.
I honestly have to admit, I think that they don't give two poops about you. No offense.
I think that's closer to the truth than
Yep.
Yeah.
any of the other theories. But I haven't seen the uniform, so I don't know. Is it?
The red.
But is it Patriot reminiscent?
I didn't get
'Cause
a
I
total
haven't
picture,
they-
but
It's solid red.
But
yeah.
haven't they worn that before?
thought so. But
I don't know.
That's what they're saying.
Let's go back to the TPX hotline. Eric's in LA. What's up, Eric?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Okay.
Okay, just looking to some draft talk here. So, my fantasy at the end of the season, I'm tired of passing up on blue chip talent in the draft. We got enough of that with Bill, trading down and whatnot. I just feel like we just take Travis Hunter, sign T. Higgins, and worry about the rest later. Honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Just wanted to get your opinion on that.
I have nothing wrong with that.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
And, try to get a tackle in the second round. You're going to be at the top of the second round. You might be able to get a tackle that can
Yep.
play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Is Travis Hunter going to be there at 3?
I don't know. I'm
I
still
mean,
skeptical
That's a good
of
question.
that.
I think, yeah.
I'm still skeptical of both quarterbacks
Going 1-2.
going 1-2. I think Dion is going to get Shador to Vegas. I think that's going to happen. But the Giants
Over Tom Brady's dead body.
well, they're actually know each other pretty well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who, Shador or Dion?
Shador and Brady work out together.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So, I think the Giants are the team that could the Giants be like a Sam Darnold team, or something along those lines.
Especially if they keep Dable.
Right,
Yeah.
and instead of just overdrafting a quarterback, maybe they take Travis Hunter or whatever, and then they build the roster, and then if they need a quarterback in a year or two, because Sam Darnold doesn't work out, maybe it's a better class for them to take a quarterback. I'm just skeptical that Cam Ward and Shador are going to go 1-2. Like, I just don't think that this is that kind of quarterback class.
Zach in Wilmington, North Carolina. They just keep coming in. First off, thank you for the content you provide. We all appreciate it. I've been thinking about Mayo's future with the Patriots and have to admit I may be falling into the time to move on category, even though I really like him. My reasoning is that I just don't know of a single thing that I would say he's great at. There's been issues with clock management, critical decisions in late games, drafting, player acquisition, player development, and overall competitiveness this season. My question is, do you disagree? Is there something I'm missing that you would point to and say he's done a really good job with this or that? Yeah.
I don't disagree. I mean, look, I've said it to these guys. I do think he'll be back, but I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure on him next year, right out of the gate, immediately.
It's hard to argue all the coaching points that he made. Like, they've had issues with clock management. They've had issues with sort of aggressiveness on fourth downs, consistency of approach, and stuff like that. That's kind of inarguable.
Yeah.
I would say I think he has the players. Like, I think the players, want him to succeed. I think they believe in him to an extent, but that only lasts so long if you don't start to have some success. That's why I did think it was important to win a few games. And I know that, Evan's on the draft pick bandwagon. I don't think Evan's wrong for that. But
just at this point, it's like...
Yeah, but I mean, I do wonder if you go 3-14 and you've won 7 games in 2 years, and now you have, 35 of the guys that have won 7 games in 2 years back for your team the following year.
Yeah,
that's hard.
It's tough to build a culture that way.
Right.
We'll end the show with some trivia. It's trivia from the 90s and 2000s, Paul.
Trivia. Excellent. Love it.
Let's see. 5 questions. Who led the Patriots in sacks in both the 93 and 94 seasons?
Chris Slade.
Chris Slade is correct.
That would be my guess.
How many
Good, Mike.
How many consecutive seasons did Vincent Brown lead the team in tackles?
7.
Incorrect.
6.
Incorrect. 5.
Keep guessing. No.
You could have gone up.
Who led the Patriots in receptions for the 97 season?
Terry Glenn.
Ben correct. Ben Coates is correct.
Mike
2 more.
is killing me.
Who had the most receiving yards in 04?
Most receiving yards
Deion
in
Branch.
2000.
No.
Incorrect.
No. David Gibbons.
David Gibbons is correct.
Branch was hurt
Gibbons.
for a large... Yeah,
I'm 0-3.
And finally, who had the most interceptions in 2000?
God. Ty Law?
Antonio Langham. I have no idea.
think this person's saying it's a 3-way tie because his answer is the law firm, Ty Law and Lawyer Malloy, and Tabucky Jones.
T-Buck.
Yeah, well,
So it's kind of a trick question, a little
Yeah.
bit.
That does sound like a lot.
So Mike got 4 because you said Ty Law.
I was on fire.
Ty Law.
Good job,
The
Mike.
great Ty Law.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Now, Deion Branch was
That
hurt
was
for-
Mike's watching sweet spot.
Oh, yeah.
Late 90s, 2000.
Well,
I
I mean, to be honest, my watching sweet spot was definitely starting the 06 season. That was where I already missed a game once. Like
06 season?
06.
That's a tough time.
Usually they're him and his ilk. They
Huh?
started in week 3 of 01.
I was gonna say.
How would Mike kind of know that, have the knowledge to start right then? Like it took me like 5 years to be like, I think these guys are pretty good. I should watch every game.
That's the bit, Mike.
In my defense, I was just too young.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I
But,
don't
I
blame-
started in 01. But
I don't
that's because-
blame you.
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
young.
yeah.
Mike wasn't. Mike's not that much younger than me.
I was in California having fun.
10 years, Paul.
All right, that's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. We'll be back tomorrow as we turn the page to the Buffalo Bills. What can the Patriots do to be competitive up in...
Have we come to that? What can we do
Yes.
to be competitive?
Yes. That's
Pray for rain.
After he had his stone cold lock of the week last week,
I
it was the
know.
Patriots win.
I know.
Now he's just looking to ways to be competitive.
I know how the mighty have
Ways
fallen.
to keep it under 50.
Yeah. All right. We will see you tomorrow.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast.